Okay, it's part two of my theory on it, why we got three Ghanas, and that's a better example. And in this one, I'm gonna prove that Noble Draw League and others had an understanding of this concept or this theory that I'm putting out. So let's read about it. Another subject that I did not know that I read in the book is that they talk about the book Africa versus America. For classical geography used by the Arabs or the Moors and much of Europe until the 17th century, the continents were segments of the sphere, delimited by parallels, okay, by latitudes, and everything within a certain latitude quadrant was like a country, like how we do countries today. But it was basically uh, like twin cities, sister cities, sitting in cities built by the ancients. The ancients had it all in quadrants like that. If you look at I forget the name of that map, but the map that the UN used, it give you a better example of why the ancients look at the world as one entire world broken down in quadrants through latitude lines. And they say it's um, de- denominated as at present. The confusion was created without falling into that the divisions by climates. So the maps that they got when you go Google climate maps is a play of these old maps. These maps that have been like this been destroyed and replaced with new maps. We'll get into who did it and why. And then they did it with temperature, vegetation, and uniform races. So they started to break it down. They started to break that map down by race later in history, and that caused a lot of destruction with no distinction than those arising from the relief in the Decatur Isle Aquilin. And that's where we get this information from, this treatise. One of the surviving treaties um, from Ishaq ibn al Hassan al Ziyad, a treatise on universal geography composed around the 11th century. The climates are delimited like this. The ancient maps didn't do it by climate, they just did it by quadrants and latitudes. And they built structures and monuments and landmarks and forts and stuff like that on these latitudes to map the world. And that's the idea of it right there. Uh, excuse me. In this book, she realized, which we know today, that the place names of the world been structured in these latitude lines. Like you had place names that have been considered African from this blue line down to this blue line. All that was Africa on this in this continent and this continent because they've been in quadrants. And within, and we know that because we got Ghana, and a Papua New Ghana. So modern people who do place names, they probably got a copy of one of these old maps. Because the lady who named Ethiopia put it in the quadrant they got with the place names They got Sudan. Um, she put Nigeria in it, and most of those place names is land of blacks, and it sits in this quadrant. And you got the Black River, Rio Negro, and then River Niger, and you got Malaysia, which is land of blacks. You got Nigeria, and you got Rio Negro. Oh, you got they had on old Spanish maps. They had Tierra de Negros, land of blacks, and they had um, Terra Negro, black land, and they had Isles de Negritos, the islands of blacks. So they had a version of this map, and they named it everything within this Ecuador line, which is equator. Everything within that line they had on their maps land of blacks. So when we get to the next lands, Asia, islands of the Indies, or the Indian Oriental or Occidental, East and West. We got the West Indies, and we got the East Indies on Spanish maps. So they're using this maps. They're using this idea, but in a different way. But we know based off the maps and the names. See, she put place names for you to know which quadrant and what on all ancient maps. So we can break down how even know what y'all here know about this old geography. So we got the country of Moors or Berbers. We got Berberia. We got another one. All this in within the quadrant of Africa, and we know the country of Berbers right there. We know that right now in modern day understanding of shit. This Northwest Africa, Morocco, Mauritania, Algiers, Tunis, Tripoli, but we don't know about the South, right? The southern part of the southeastern part of the United States. We know we got a map. We got Morocco from the 1500s in this area. We know the United States official who claimed that the Mexicans and the people of the western part of it was Mauritanians, the ancient Mauritanians. We know from this book that Morocco, Marruecos, is right here, and we got Mauritania right there, and Berberia. They find Moroccan artifacts. In all these quadrants, they find artifacts that connect. For example, we got Tunis, and we find all the languages written from in Arizona, which is Phoenix, and we got um, Phoenicia. We got Phoenician, we got Phoenix, we got Tunis, we got the 33rd parallel, we got Charleston, we got uh, we got Algiers on both sides on this line. Algiers in Louisiana, and we got Algiers in North Africa in this line. There's a million examples, stuff that I ain't even find yet. It's like, I don't know if the three Ghanas sit on the same line, but it might be something to look into. Might sit on the same parallel. Some of the cities sit on exactly on the same parallel, and a lot of the monuments and stuff sit on parallels, crossing diagonal, north and south, left and right. I mean, like it's amazing. Our ancestors that know so much about this world already than we think. You got Ethiopia and Ghana. You got Ethiopia on this side and this side. And history. the Ghana is clearly still on all three sides. That's one of the examples I always use because we can see that today on Google Maps. Three Ghanas. But it could be a lot of other examples. You can just look through. I find, matter of fact, I got Google Maps open. I think, yep. Let's go to Mauritania in South America. Oh yeah, Jerusalem on that line. 33rd out of 32nd. 30th degree and 32nd degree. I see a lot of holy places. Okay, let's they call Charleston the holy city. So, you know, it's on the same line with Jerusalem. And I'm looking for Mare. Got Mare. Got Mauritania. Got all these Mariente. The Moorish city in Algeciras. I think going over this in my last video right here, Cordoba. So a lot of the place names right down here. You got Mauritius Island with that. Yep, still inside Burberry. Right. Yep. In that quadrant. Right here. And I think Argentina was Mauritania. Because Argentina just means land of silver, and we know who come to steal silver. It's Christians, so most likely they stole it from Moors. Let's continue. Let's get into why and some more evidence. The Spanish historian indicated that the Spanish historian is Alvarez indicated that in the course of her investigation, she had traveled the African African coast looking for rivers that could accommodate the fleet of the time, and there the rivers are not navigable inland from the mouth. All the descriptions led to Brazil, so she going to Morocco looking for this Moroccan empire that would connect to her country, Spain, and her family. So but we just see though all these lands in her history she find that been Moorish names, and all these lands had the same names going all around. And everything up here been Asia. We got the Asiatic nations. And everything past all this, like Antarctica, had uninhabitable on these old maps, right? That the Decatur Aqualim describes. The file in which Isabel the Catholica sends, that Isabel the Catholic sends a fleet of 35 caravels to Guinea and Lamina de Oro, and mentions the slave rivers, actually refers to Maranon River from Brazil, where blacks lived, and also in Recife. There are a strange Moorish window that leave historians amazed. So she just showing you some evidence of her, why she believed this has been how the world been before a certain time period in the Mayan people. So, Rekife, right there. Right, on Ethiopia, Rekife. And we need to make sure. I like to see if it still exists. Pretty much. So basically, it's an old town, and she say blacks, but she know they Moors. But if we going off a modern day aspect of everything, she try to make a point that Moors, like this is pretty much Moorish America, taken by the Christian powers and the Catholic Church, which is the Christian powers. But she used terms like black because she can't really prove that it's the Moorish Empire by saying Indians, because even that story been redone, and you know the Siberians is the Indians in the world mind, as we supposed to believe, right? And blacks are from here, so she tried to find evidence of blacks, so-called blacks, being in America before a certain time period. She trying to rebut history as we know it. So she using these terms like blacks. She claimed that some of the documents got cargo of blacks, even though even documents dealing with fighting Moors. You got to make war on the Moors. You got a document that they signed to come make war on the Moors in the Indies. And then the cargoes would have had the captives that they brought back would have had cargo of blacks, something like that. But the Spanish been known for changing stuff because they create Negro land on their maps and they put it over here in West Africa, call it Negro land, and they call the Philippines Isles the Negro. We know they name those two, but they name it based off this, in my opinion. Okay, we'll see who the culprits is. We ain't leaving no stone unturned. The Perez del Pulgar said before 1492 that Lamina was reached in 60 days. It would take the 16th century fleets to reach the Okano River, which she's talking about from a certain port, and the certain ships that they would have had before that time would have taken them that time to reach the Orinoco River, which is in Brazil. It wouldn't have taken them that time to go to the other Lamina, which is probably in Northwest Africa. That's how we confused today. Got the same names within that quadrant across the world. So we don't know which history. We don't know which Egypt, which Jerusalem. We don't know none of them places. Moab. Probably got Moab in Utah and in all Israel, so called, on the same quadrant. If we go look it up, we might, you know. The navy of the Great Sea was defeated by Portugal, and the Peace of Alcobas was signed in 1479. So before 1492, we're dealing with America. Castile, which who had the navy of the Great Sea. Castile was left without the gold mine. Mad with that cast, Isabel the Catholic planned to discover more land there. Talking about America. So ain't even been no idea of something to be discovered until Isabel decided to discover something because she mad because the church cut her off the deal in the Treaty of Alcobes. A letter from Queen Elizabeth of, and I don't know why he switched from Isabel to Queen Elizabeth, but a letter from this is an ongoing investigation. So a letter from Queen Elizabeth of April 30th, 1492, ordered Palos neighbors to be placed under the orders of Columbus, who will pay them the usual for 6-month round trip. And he was right with an error of 15 days, and orders not to approach the mine, quote unquote, which is Lamina, to avoid conflict with Portugal. So that's evidence showing that Columbus knew exactly where he'd been at, because they tell him not to go to a certain place over here, because other people over here go on the treaty. The Columbus, he was a Genoese navigator, Laidilo. Guess that was the name of that particular Columbus, who served the Queen in that expedition of 1492. So he served the Queen in this expedition. The Queen friend, Cardinal Rodrigo Borgia, and you know about the Borgias, the one who married her to Fernando to be the Pope. The Queen was he talking about us, Isabel. I don't know why I say Elizabeth, but he's wrong. And to be Pope. So Rodrigo became Pope Alexander VI. She knew he would support her in the new land distribution, so it wasn't no discovery. It was a land distribution between Portugal and Spain. We know that from the demarcation. Emperor Charles V, and that's the reason why we no longer got that map. In 1536, ordered to destroy all maps, sketches, and seasickness charts, public and private. And he did that especially the Americas, because that's where he been at. That's where he ruled most of the lands, and I believe he ruled all of Europe too from America. He also kicked off he only the man behind the confusion of the geography. He is the man behind the confusion of the who people is based off names, because he started to rename everybody in his dominions, like Negro and Mestizo and stuff like that. He started them off. A map was saved, so he destroyed all. That of Juan de la Cosa from the year 1500, and in it see the profiles of the Gulf of Mexico and Florida, officially undiscovered coast in 1500. Even after that, the Pyrenees map showed up on scene and destroyed the Columbus theory. The United States tried their best to get that before anybody get them and make it public, but they were too late. But they tried to get them. That's why even if any maps that been really like Noah Jolly could have had a different map, but the United States probably get their hands on it before you. Any map that might pop up that different from the map, you best believe the U.S. gonna go get that. Send men to get that before I get them, because they do stuff like this and make videos exposing shit. What the ancients took from Africa was really America. What the ancients took for Africa was really say the Dutchess. Between 16 degrees north and 16 degrees south, everything was considered Africa. Before the Catholic monarchs and Pope Alexander VI, Aragonese of origin, set up the discovery to get Portuguese competitors out the way and validate legal trade that was done since ancient times. So all they did was just to really steal the old ports that we already had set up, trade routes around the world. The president of this organization, talking about the Islamic Board of Spain, which is a modern day organization. They the one who been trying to publish her book and everything because nobody want to deal with her because that information. Basically, you can see that what he talk about now is the reason why ain't nobody want to touch that with a stick. But this Islamic Board in Spain, Cadiz, I think the website called Web Islam, and they interview her and stuff like that. They been working with her, and there's some information from it. The president of this organization, Mansour Escudero, told the BBC, so he's been dealing with BBC, that the text, based on the documentary sources, is a book for specialists, as well as an exceptional document, which has not yet had an impact on the academic media. It is a revealing document that emerged from the archive guarded by the Duchess, which has more than 4 million documents, according to Escudero. The Duke of Medina Sidonia were responsible for guarding. The Dukes of Medina Sidonia were responsible for guarding and preserving for centuries all the documentation of overseas travel in Spain, and it is quite curious that the documents included in the book have been overlooked or not made public. And as you can see why, because it's basically different from everything that everybody been telling everybody. And La Mina on the side today is called Minas Gerais. And right here they're talking about this 1700 war, but they've been here before 1700. The Banderas, Paulistas, and they've been known for capturing so-called blacks and for slavery. That been their job, the Banderas. So, as you can see, in modern day Minas, they're talking about the Banderas capturing blacks, right? But that story's supposed to happen on the other side, right? Okay, let's deal with this. And I'm gonna Wikipedia so I can rebut this while we're here. One primary tenet of the Moorish Science Temple of America, the Moorish Science Temple, is the belief that African Americans are of Moorish ancestry. And we just show that on our map, especially from the Moroccan Empire, according to Ali. See how they quote unquote that to minimize you, but they don't got a clue. According to Ali, this area included other countries that today surrounded Morocco. To join the movement, individuals had to proclaim their Moorish nationality. They were given nationality cards and religious texts. Adherents referred to themselves racially as Asiatics. You see, if somebody agree with this map, he gotta be up because you see right there, it's Asia of the Indies, and it's got both sides. We got Asia of the Indies, right? They call us India, and they call us and they say Columbus thought he found India, but maybe he had a map that said India or something like that on it, right? If he had the old Moorish maps before Charles destroyed our maps in 1536, that's a couple decades afterwards, 1492, and he said Asiatics, and people always think of what we call Asia today on our modern maps, but the man was not talking about that. Even talking about another map. And he said, as the Middle East is Austin, Western Asia, you see. The Middle East. And what's crazy about that he said we Asiatics and he said we Moroccans. And both of those sit inside this line. Barbaria and Asia, right? And you got the Indians on this side who we know is Moors, turban wearing. Like ain't no doubt that they Moors. And nobody mind. Or Muslims, whatever you wanna call them. But he only won't be doubt over here from the dark skinned people who call themselves black in North America. Because somebody like said he make a video say that down where he is, but what he know. Hmm? What intelligence he ever show? A lot of them, I ain't gonna get into that. I just be seeing a lot of people say we not Moors. That one statement right there, I can't really take it serious. Because any other word, I can go find myself in history looking at the something like Black Indian. If I go nowadays and go look that up on the internet, but if I go inside of, say I go into the library in Russia, let's pick one of the furthest places we can go. I gotta go look for, I gotta translate the word more in Russian to find me. I can't translate no other words. If I can translate African American and get some history from at least 1865 up until modern times and get that history. Dealing with India and get history from at least 1492 until now. But with the word Moorish, I'm gonna get my history all the way into the first book in the Moorish section. To the first book been written as far as we can go back in history. In reality, you can't go back before what the first book was written. And in that state, and in that section, that's what I'm gonna find. I'm gonna find all the history, the whole world history. You ain't gonna find this one piece, right? African American history is just us on this land from 1865 till now, because that's what we've been calling ourselves. So that alone already none rebut and prove just about everything that Wikipedia page say. More Noble Drew Ali been saying, people look at the surface and don't look deeper into it, even though he telling you this is divine and this is you ain't gonna understand it for 100 years until 100 years later. So that means he telling you that the words that he's saying ain't just on the surface information. You gotta think deeper, go deeper into what he's saying. Ain't just what the words on the page saying. So I believe that African America were all Moors. Whom he claimed were descendants from the ancient Moabites. Describing, now you know Moab, again, according to the old geography, ain't just in that one place where the history say it. He claimed that Islam and its teachings are more beneficial to the earthly salvation rest of that. We just dealing with the geography in this video. Northwest Africa, right? So Africa is from that blue line to that blue line, and northwest, and this would be southwest. And I think through all his writings, he's been dealing with this map. The inhabitants of Africa, which is the entire part of the world, which is most of the world at that, are the descendants of the ancient Canaanites from the land of Canaan. And again, the ancient Canaanites and the land of Canaan is ambiguous terms. And we'll get into that in the next video. Break down how you can find if that's you and how that's you today, and how scientists and linguistics, archaeologists already proved that. And then when we're dealing with the land of Canaan, we still gotta remember that we're dealing with the quadrant geography. So the land of Canaan could be people come from the north or south of any one of the continents dealing with this story. All man Cush and his family are the first inhabitants of Africa who came from the land of Canaan. His father Ham and his family were second. Then came the word Ethiopia, just like we see on that map, which means the demarcation line of the domain of Amexem, first true and divine name of Africa. And we just finished seeing what Africa really is. The dividing of the land between father and son. The domain of Kush, northeast and southeast. Africa and northwest and southwest was his father's domain of Africa. So you're dealing with a worldly map. In these later years, many of their brothers from Asia, which is a quadrant, and the Holy Lands, which is a quadrant. The Moabites from the land of Moab, which is in the Holy Lands, who received permission from the pharaohs of Egypt, which is also in the Holy Lands, and inhabit Northwest Africa, which is why he put this part in it, because he's talking about the Moorish Americans and the Sour history. And that's why Northwest Africa sits dead smack in our quadrant. Especially the South. Well, I think one of those presidents said is our Barbaria or Barbary. And he named a few states, Texas, going across the state and correlating those states with Morocco, Tripoli, Tunis, Algiers, just like we're about to get into. Who received, they from the land of Moab, who received permission from the pharaohs of Egypt to settle and inhabit Northwest Africa. Settle and inhabit. They were founders and are the true possessors of the present Moroccan Empire. And he raised in a Moroccan flag over here to show that he talking about over here. If you don't know what raising a flag mean, go look that up. But everything he said that had extra significance to it than actually what's on the surface. their Canaanite, Hittite, and Amorite brethren who sojourned from the land of Canaan seeking new homes. Their domain and inhabitation extended from the northeast and southwest across the great Atlantis into the present North, South, and Central America, you see. Their domains and inhabitation extended. Across the great Atlantis, even into the North, South, and Central America, and also Mexico and the Atlantis Islands before the Great Earthquake which caused the Great Atlantic Ocean. The River Nile was dredged and made by the ancient pharaohs of Egypt in order to trade with the surrounding kingdoms. Across the Niger River was dredged by the great pharaoh of Egypt in ancient days for trade, and extended eastward from the River Nile westward across the Great Atlantic. You see? It was used for trade and transportation. And what he's talking about is this right here. We got one basin that go into the other basin that go into the Negro River and go all the way into the Niger River. On this side, the Negro, both means black, one in Spanish, one in Latin. The Black River. And as you can see, it's very much good for trade because it goes from inside and it reach all the way to the other side. This ancient world shit. It extended eastward from the Nile River westward across the Great Atlantic. It was used for trade and transportation. According to all true and divine records of the human race, there is no Negro, black, and colored race attached to the human family. And he's using biblical names because, excuse me, within the realm of English, that's what holds the records. The biblical stories hold the true and divine records that can be used in law. Everything else become opinions. And that's also why archaeologists and linguists and everybody else, when they do digging and stuff, and language connecting and culture connecting, they use biblical terms too, because they English speakers. And they're using that record. So one should never throw out the baby with the bathwater because it's good and bad and everything, even within you. So, as a historian, you should never look at something. Oh, this group of people did this, so die me. No, you got that blood. You can't just not be something because you choose to in your mind. The only thing that tell the truth about who you is the blood in your system. And everything else is just a physical name, right? So I can call myself Moore, you can call yourself whatever. That don't determine if we family or not. The blood in our veins determine that. So let's get back to the geography. I think that's about it. There was ancient geography. Yeah, he finished with that. Read the whole thing if you want. doesn't have any Negro, Black, and color doesn't have any significance dealing with the human race in law, in fact, in truth, in nothing. Can't be proven as a people with history and shit. Like I just said, black history only exists within the United States at a certain time period. Everything else before that can't be claimed under that name. You gotta be claimed under the proper name if you're dealing with the facts. Facts determined by the law. Certain laws. Like mathematics determine facts. In that sense, they got other stuff like linguistics and stuff like that. You can use experts in certain fields to make claims and determine the claims. So the biggest claim that's out here now is who we are and where we at. So at 33rd degree parallel, they talk about a lot of these parallel lines in Wikipedia. You can see what cities they got on these lines. And that's where we got Phoenix and Tyre, which is Phoenicia capital. Algiers, got Barcelona. You go through the Barbary states, and you go through the south. Where we at? See, on the next one, we're gonna deal with how he remixed the race, how he did the race game. Get into that a little bit.